families in the school system and so forth, and I wanted to help dads. I wouldn't know what to even call an organization if I started it. I just wanted to start to help a dad for life. And that's how we got started. I was a young divorced dad, and I also lost my dad as a young kid. Well, all the children or students that I had been working with in the school system, I can tell you I went through all of those situations with a lot of children. And I tell you what, it's just amazing how far God's brought us in the 14 years we've been doing this now. So we've gone from helping one or two dads, and then now we're helping thousands across the world through our encouragement, teachings, and the other things we're involved in. Part of that being the Dad Connection radio show being hosted right here at 108 Praise Radio. Some new things are coming this year, or this month, the next month, the day after Thanksgiving, our Black Friday sale date or whatever. We're launching our brand new website with some new dad products and all. So we're real excited about what we're going to be able to do through that new website. But let's talk about fatherhood. I don't know your past. I don't know where your father was involved or not involved in your life. But God has a place for you. In Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and give you a hope for the future. And look around us. You know, our hearts go out to the people of New York City today and what happened there with a terror attack on our country again. And, you know, and you never know about tomorrow. And you have to stay prayed up. And you have to know that God's got He's got your back, okay? And so, but I want to talk about fatherhood and parenthood tonight and how God can somehow, He can weave you through those kind of situations to help you become very, very involved in your children's lives because they need guidance. They need direction. They need a leading, right? It says because they follow our lead. They truly do, whether it's good or bad, right? So, but tonight I want to talk a little bit different about our past fatherhood, how we saw that. You know, back in the 50s and 60s, we had television shows like Father Knows Best and the Donna Reed Show and Andy Griffith, and even had Happy Days, right? And those shows were showing a different side of fatherhood where he was the breadwinner. He'd come home and mom all dressed up, right, and cook dinner and the house is, spotless and that kind of thing. Well, we know that's television, right? We know that's the movies, right? But, you know, when you work hard and you come home, you know, things aren't always perfect. Now we've got such a society today where moms and dads are working and divorce is at an all-time high. We have to do what we can to be involved in our kids' lives. And I've worked with some parents, and I've seen their schedules, and their schedules are like jammed-packed, right? They're packed full of activities and going here and there and trying to be involved as much as they can. And I applaud parents for trying to keep up with the craziness of scheduling today. And now there's apps. I have a relative that actually their grandchild has an app that they get from school that shows exactly what they're doing each day and the homework and all that. And that's really cool how technology is helping parents so they kind of stay up on what's going on. If you have a comment tonight, talk about fatherhood. Maybe you want to honor your dad or just talk about the way things were with you. I want you to call in tonight at 770-988-6461. That's 770-988-6461. The wonderful staff there at 108 Praise Radio, someone will answer that phone and put you right through to our show. So we're excited to have you with us tonight, and I appreciate each and every one of you for listening. So, do you have fond memories of your dad? Do you have rough memories of your dad? You know, I can tell you that everything wasn't peaches and cream in our home because my dad had a drinking problem and, you know, the stress of work and all that. Well, I've learned a lot through that situation as to what I went through and what I grew up with and how I learned to help other families kind of deal with that, especially when I was in the school system and having to intervene in some domestic situations, right? So what you come through, God can use sometimes to help you. So we must know where we come from in our past to know where we're going in our future, right? It's hard sometimes to give up our past. It's hard to look back and say, I can't go back there. It's hard to do that. But we do go back there, don't we? Yes, we do. I've had dads say, you know, I can't get over what happened to me back then, or I can't believe what she did to me in that divorce proceeding or whatever. Well, all I tell, and I encourage dads, especially going through a divorce, is you take where you're at today. You can't change what's happened. You can change the future. You can change this right here to get you thinking about how you're going to be involved in those kids' life regardless, right? So back in those days when we had those television shows, everything seemed great. But was it? We had political issues. We had educational issues. Back then you had talking in class or throwing spitballs or whatever were some of the discipline problems we had back then. But then today we have so much more going on, don't we? We have guns at school. We have youth suicides. We have all these crazy things going on at schools. Our children need us as parents to be involved. And I know it's rough out there, parents. I've talked to parents, and I see the things on Facebook and social media, and I see that it's tough to keep up with things. But God is still there, and He's still there to take care of us, and He helps you take care of the greatest gift that He's ever given you, and that's your children. Life was really simple when we looked at it on television with all the father shows and the family shows and even the fun shows like Happy Days or something, right? Life just seemed fun. But you know what? There's still family issues. There's still struggles and things going on that you've got to deal with because that's part of life. It's a big circle, isn't it? I saw a post of a friend of mine this evening who travels the nation and ministers as a chaplain, and his heart is heavy tonight because he's losing his mom. He's with her now as she's soon going to be promoted. I went through that 5 years ago on Thanksgiving night. I know what that feeling is like. Reach out to friends and help them during difficult times because it's important. I was with a friend yesterday who lost his mom this week, and he's burying her this week. So, it happens. Things happen in life. And sometimes we have to be there to guide our children how to react to those, even when they see the things on the news like Las Vegas or what happened in New York today or 9/11, whatever it was. That comes the way that they see on the news, and they have the social media right there in their hands. They see things just as quick as we do sometimes anymore, right? So you as a parent have to be involved. You have to be there to encourage them. Now let's talk about the present state of some of our fatherless children out there, where we're at today as fathers, right? There's a lot of onslaught of groups out there that are rising up to take that fatherhood mantle once again and be involved. And I am so excited to be a part of that. Dads for Life is a resource center. We want to encourage. We don't have it all the answers. We just kind of guide you and help you and direct you along the way as we're encouraging you. We're encouraging you because encouragement goes a long way. And if encouragement goes a long way to a parent, how much more can the encouragement be for a child? 108 Praise Radio had my show on a few months ago. We had Garth Callahan, Napkin Note Dad, research Napkin Note Dad. What an amazing guy. As his child was young, he would put a little encouragement note in her lunch and did it once and twice, and now it's become a movement. And there's books being written out there. And it's just so much happening with that movement because now he's encouraged parents how to put notes in their lunchbox. Something as simple as taking a pen and a napkin and putting, "You're going to make it today," or, "Good luck on that chemistry exam," or whatever it is, and put it in their lunchbox, and they get to lunch and they see that, right? And it's something about that. Read the story of Napkin Note Dad and how that began, and that's a little bit of encouragement for you. But the statistics today are amazing, my friends. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes, and these are from the U.S. Department of Health censuses. 63% of youth suicides. I've been in those situations. I have dealt with some situations in homes. It's been very, very sad. Okay, so I understand what families go through in these situations. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. That's 32 times the average. And here we're talking about children who get caught up in human trafficking because they're at people that are looking to take them away from their family permanently are at bus stops, train stations, and airports looking for these kids who are lost. That's why a parent has to be involved. You have to know where your kids are. "Oh, I'm going to a friend's house." Really? Who is he? Or who is she? Tell me about them. "Well, I don't know. I just met them today." Well, they're not such a good friend, are they? 85% of all children who show behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes sometimes because they don't know how to handle things because we're not there as parents and fathers sometimes to help guide them, are they? 71% of high school dropouts, and I dealt with this a lot. I encourage a lot of kids to stay they're behind in school, even though they don't like it. Because 75% of all high school dropouts come from a fatherless home where nobody's involved, and mom's working hard and trying to stay engaged in their life, right? And trying to be involved, but mom can't be at all places all times. Now, my mom, I think, was, okay? So I think she had eyes in the back of her head as well, right? And we understand that kind of comment because some moms really know what's going on, right? What I'm saying is physically they can't be everywhere at once. And with the onslaught of the internet and how it's come on board, I was reading some statistics today of how young kids at the ages under 12 are coming across sites they should never see. It's really sad. So we as parents and we as dads and moms have to be involved. Now, I speak a lot of moms simply because my single mom, my widowed mom, she worked very hard to keep me going, but yet also I have a lot of moms that reach out to what we're doing because they're pulling both roles. We have a lot of absent fathers out there. And we can't, even though you may be divorced or separated dads, you are still involved. You can still be involved in your child's life. I remember when our daughter was, after my divorce with her mom, I remember she was dressing up as a bumblebee in an elementary school play, and I really kind of asked my boss to go, and he said, well, I don't know if I can let you go today or whatever. I said, please let me go, because if not, I might have to, have you have a job opening here. I mean, I was serious because I wanted to be there, right? So we have to do what we can do to do what we have to do when we have to do it. Now, you can't be at all places all the time. I understand that. But let's talk about education a little bit. If children have both parents involved and fathers who are really involved with their education, they're 40% less likely to repeat that same grade in school. Now, these are coming from the government statistics. Children with fathers who are involved are 70% less likely to drop out of school. And there's a lot of dads who are involved who really may not need to be involved because of their lifestyle and what they're involved in and all this. I mean, it's amazing that how some youth come through these situations because some of the things that their father's involved in or even their parents, There's a big drug chatter going on the news now about parents. And I thank God for grandparents because so many grandparents have stepped up to the plate to fill in that void at this time, right? So I'm just speaking from the heart tonight because our children need us. Our children truly need us. And I just want to encourage each and every mom out there and each and every dad to be involved in your kids' lives. And I know that people sometimes go their separate ways, but I tell you what, when it comes to your children, you should be really kind of focused, even individually, you're focused on their future and trying to help them, right? So, and then sometimes dads say, well, I just can't be involved. I mean, my past, and all this, and I think, well, I think the next time that you say God can't use you, regardless of who you are, right? You think about, well, Noah. Well, he had a little drinking issue, right, at times. You think about Abraham, who was told, just too old. I'm just too old to do anything for God, right? Or Isaac, who was a daydreamer, or Jacob, who maybe had some truth issues, and Joseph sometimes, he was abused, right? He was abandoned, and Moses, who stuttered a little bit, and Gideon was afraid. So you think about people like that, and you think, okay, how God can use me? How can he use me? Well, Dad, he can use you greatly if you just put that best foot forward and keep taking baby steps towards a better relationship with your children. I've talked with incarcerated dads and how to get restarted, how to get reconnected with your children, right? And I talk about actually, why don't we just write a letter? Even though they may not read it, right? Depending on the relationship before, but why don't we write a letter? Why don't we just say, I'm sorry. Wow. Can we say that? Dads, can we say that? Yes, we can. Moms, we can say that, right? So We're just talking about fatherhood tonight. If you have a call in, you'd like to just call in, comment, maybe on your dad, and I want to talk about something else here coming up with fatherhood on our new website. So you call in at 770-988-6461. That's 770-988-6461. Our scripture of the day is Proverbs 13:1. It says, a wise youth accepts his father's rebuke, and a young mocker doesn't. So we want to make sure that even as a youth that we listen to our parents. It's important. God wants us to listen to our parents, right? So today I want to talk about where we're at with the fatherhood. I read some of the statistics, but I still believe with all the experience I've had through working in the school system, through 30 years in law enforcement and working with families over the years, I can tell you that I still believe that encouragement and love goes a long way. Even in the craziness that we see when we turn on whatever our favorite news channel is. No matter where you turn on anymore, you're seeing some stuff out there, right? And you look back and say, God, how much further? How much longer are we going to go on? Well, I can tell you that when you do that, let's just pray. My wife and I at dinner tonight was just praying about the situation in New York. And when the Las Vegas situation happened, if we do that for people we don't know, obviously, then let's pray for our children every single day and where they're going and who they're around and teach them that friends aren't just a click on a social media site. I mean, true friendship, right? We know true friendship is when you're down and out and one of your friends say, man, what's going on? Let's just talk for a little. Let's have coffee. I did that with a brother this week, and just to listen, not to judge, not to think you know everything. But your children really need that. All they want to know is that mom and dad really, really care. Encourage them. So much going on with colleges today and trying to get into colleges and help them make those decisions for what their desired, wherever they're headed in their career, right? Wherever God's leading them. And you want them to have the best. I know you do. That's what we do as parents, right? So regardless of the situation, regardless of where we're at in our situation with our children, regardless of what age they are, you can still be involved. And that's where we talk about dads for life. The dad who just recently, I was actually part of the funeral where he was in his 90s and his children still involved with him and still loving him and really miss him, So and dads who suddenly are taken, through illness or whatever, and the family's heartbroken and the children are saying, "Where is my dad?" I mean, I'm not going to have my dad around to talk to anymore. This is life. This is life. And I can tell you that God is there with us each and every day, wherever the decisions. And sometimes we get all caught up in all this craziness of the world or craziness within, we get offended because somebody pulled in front of us, or just said something that, 20 years ago would have just been nothing, and people get so offended. So we got to teach our children how not to be so offended, because it's not going to have a healthy future for them if they're offended by everything, So I had somebody recently I was talking with about their job, and I just can't this and that and the other, and I don't like this. I said, what about the people who don't have a job and haven't had one because they can't find one or whatever? So you got to appreciate where God has you at that moment. That can be content, right? So anyway, I'm Keith Jowers, the host of the Dad Connection radio show right here on 108PraiseRadio.com. They are full of radio show hosts. We're going to go into a break, and I'll be right back with you. I hope you come back and join us, stay with us. And I'm going to turn it back over to the studio to do their station break here at the bottom of the hour, and we'll be right back on the Dad Connection. All right? We'll see you soon.
do a new thing in you. Behold, I do a new thing in you. Behold, I do a new thing in you. Behold, I do a new thing in you. Say, behold, I do a new thing in you. Behold, 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 I do a new thing. Behold, behold, I do a new thing in you. New thing, say, new thing in you. New thing there. New thing in you. New thing, hey. New thing in you. Hey, behold, I do a new thing in you. Come on, sing it with us if you got it. New thing in you. Behold, new thing in you. Behold. Listen, listen. They won't believe it. They won't receive it. But behold, I do a new thing in you. Behold, I do a new thing in you. Your enemies won't receive it. Your family won't believe it. But behold, I do a new thing in you. Hey, I gotta say it again. Your enemies won't receive it. Your friends can't conceive it. Your family won't receive it. Oh, they won't believe it. But behold, I do a new thing in you. Behold, new thing in you. Behold, new thing in you. Behold, break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down. Now, when you operate in this new thing, you got a new swag that's coming on you. You got a new dance that's coming on you. You ain't walking in lack, you ain't walking in doubt, you ain't walking in depression, you walking in confidence, because God dropped something brand spanking new on you. If you believe it, I want you to get on your feet and begin to do a rock and lean. Just rock and lean, 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 rock and hear the word of the Lord. Listen. I'm placing rivers in your deserts, waters in your dry lands, rivers in your deserts, waters in your dry lands. Say, rivers in your desert, waters in your dry lands. Oh, rivers in your desert, waters in your come on, say, I'm placing rivers in your desert. Wave your hands, say, waters in your dry lands. Wave your hands, say, rivers in your desert. Wave your hands, say, yeah, I'm placing rivers in your desert, waters in your dry land. I'm not dry anymore, but I'm soaking wet. I'm soaking wet. I'm soaking. I'm placing rivers in your desert. Oh, waters in your dry land. Rivers, yeah. Behold, I do it. Behold. Behold, 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 I do it. Behold, behold, behold. Say they won't believe it. They won't believe it. They won't receive it. They won't receive it. But behold, I do it. Behold, turn to your neighbor. Say they won't receive it. They won't receive. They won't believe it. They won't believe it.
A little bit. Well, it takes you a while to get back. I experienced that with my own mom when she passed away. It took me a while to reboot, basically. It was like turning off that computer and rebooting and then taking it to the shop a little bit, you know, seeing what God had to say about it, whatever. Just want to kind of just talk about fathers we've lost. And, you know, I think about a book that I want to write that I'm actually starting called Honoring Dad. So we're actually taking in stories of folks that have lost their dad and would like to honor him in our book, and we're going to hopefully have that out by the spring of next year. But we're taking in stories that actually, when you want to honor your dad and talk about the good things, talk about things that matter, think of things that he did that helps you be a better person today, to help pay it forward, basically, and pass it on. You know, I recently had an issue with my cargo trailer. I had a flat tire, and I'd had stitches in my shoulder, and I really couldn't jack it up, well, I didn't even have the jack. So the proper jack I needed. So I take it really slow down the road until that tire eventually came off the rim. And wouldn't you know that God would have me stop right in front of a house of a man that came out, older gentleman, and just said, "How you doing, sir? Can I help you?" And I told him a little bit about what happened. He said, well, I've got the jack you need. I got everything. He wouldn't even let me change my own tire because of the stitches. And he said, I got this. I'll help you out. I just want to pay it forward as people have helped me. And I said, you know what, sir? I said, I've paid a lot of things forward. And finally, God, right when I needed something, God had you here. So we talked about the Lord a little bit. And told him I was a chaplain, and we just talked about where life was. But it happened to be right in front of this man's house. That tire could have left me stranded anywhere, right? So we were talking about how things used to be and the way people used to help each other. I got to thinking about what if dads and moms really showed that to their kids, like the dad that was in the grocery line and was given too much money back, and the son, like 10 years old, saying, ooh, like extra allowance or something, right? So dad turned around and said, ma'am, I think you gave me too much money back. And so he gives it back to her. He walks outside with his son, and his son looks at him and says, Dad, that was an extra $10. Why didn't you keep that? I mean, that was extra. He said, son, let me tell you that it wasn't my money to keep. And she would have had to pay that out of her pocket to balance her register. You don't do things like that. So it was a teachable moment. I always talk about teachable moments. When I teach and I do curriculums or workshops or Periscope, or whatever I'm doing, I talk about look for those teachable moments in your children's lives because it's so important, especially when it comes to things of God and what He can do and what He has done for you. And, so I think about when you look for those teachable moments, you can learn a lot, not only for yourself, but you can also teach your children some important values that we've seemed to lose. I have here tonight a prop that I keep in my desk. It's a pocket watch. I don't know if you remember a pocket watch, okay? If you remember a pocket watch, just remember the good times that whoever owned it probably really, they probably didn't look at it all the time like we look at our watch or our phone for the time. They looked at it when it was time, And usually the ones that had the pocket watch could probably tell by the sun, right, what time it was. But it was my grandfather's. My grandfather was a very large man and told me that he asked me to do some things about 14 hours before he passed away. I had no idea he was passing. He must have known, but he asked me to. And when I look at this, I think about the promises I made to him. And even though he asked me to take care of some things in his estate and all that stuff, I look back and said, did I do the right thing? Did I make the right choice? But when you make a promise of love, then you do your best and God will work it out. So when I want you to think about honoring your dad, things that maybe he taught you, and maybe reach out to us at dadsforlife.org if you'd like to be in that, or just email us at 4dads@bellsouth.net and submit your story, and then you'll get a release for that once we go through and select all these stories. But I want to honor dads that have passed on, or grandfathers if they were your father figure or whatever it is. I already have a couple already waiting for that. And then when I see books like Al Roker's, he talks about Big Shoes, the celebration of dads and fatherhood and what his dad meant to him. It's a great book here. I think about the people that I look to and that are very successful, whatever, when they get to telling their story, they talk about dad. They talk about dad's involvement, teaching them to change oil into cars or whatever, and whatever it was, but things they remember today. And that's what our whole Honoring Dads book will be about when it comes out next year. But why does a daughter need a dad? Sons, that's the football stories or whatever, I love my son-in-law. He's already got his, our grandson, he's 2 years old, he's already playing around with him and doing the men stuff. And he just loves it. The little 2-year-old just loves it, right? But daughters are very special. I remember doing a father-daughter date when our daughter turned 16 years old. And I took her to a nice restaurant and I talked to her about, boys, okay? But I looked at books. I looked through books like this, like this one says why a daughter needs a dad. And I opened it up and it says a daughter needs a dad to protect her from scary nighttime creatures, right? Crawl under the bed or whatever, the stories they get when they're younger. And to answer the questions that keep her awake at night. And to make the complex simple and the painful bearable. and to protect her from thunder and lightning. These are when they're small, right? And when they get older, they want to know about life's choices but mainly a daughter needs a dad simply is to show her how it feels to be loved unselfishly. You see, I don't believe it's a dad's place to teach his daughter how to be a lady. I believe it's a dad's place to teach his daughter how a lady should be treated. And that's what I tried to do, even as a part-time dad, but I had a full-time heart, right? Which was our first book, actually. So I want you to think about something that Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, once said. And he started a foundation to build boys. And he said it's better to build boys, or it's easier to build boys than it is to repair men, right? But he said God gives us the gift of a conscience and a way of telling us when we're going in the wrong direction. And he said, as dads, sometimes we go in the wrong direction. We have to think about the direction we're going to. If we keep hitting our head up against the wall, right? Well, you turn around and go the other way. That's what you do. And you just get up every day and just say, God, got me out here today. What do I do now? What do I do now? Let me turn on 108 Praise Radio, get me a little worship music going this morning. Let me get going. Let me get on the track of life today and see where it takes me. But if we get up with a bad attitude all the time, we get up and we say, it's going to be a rough day, and they get up and it's raining and the world falls apart because it's raining or something, then you have to understand that your whole day is going to have some issues probably. I want you to get up with a good positive attitude. I want you to say, it's going to be a great day. I want you to think about what God has for you. Read a proverb a day brings wisdom your way, right? 31 proverbs, 30 days or 31 days in a month. Something to get you going in the morning. And do I do it perfectly every day? Absolutely not. I'd be not telling the full truth if I said every day is perfect. It's not. Because it's not going to be that way. Well, it's not going to be that way for your children either, especially when they go to school. That's why those napkin notes would really help, or even a text. Today you got texting. You could text them a note every day or whatever. And if you are a single dad or divorced dad, I want you to not hold on to that. You're a dad, period. And you have technology. You have technology today I wish I'd had when I was younger. The one that got me directed on to being a good father when all that happened to me back in the early 80s was Dr. James Dobson, A Focus on the Family. And anything he suggested pretty much I was doing, right? Just trying to figure out some things. And, I was just listening to him the other day on the radio. I couldn't believe he was being interviewed this time, not interviewing someone. And he was just talking about the same types of things, loving your children, being involved with them, and just knowing that you're there if they need you. I don't call our daughter every single day. She's just got too busy of a life, but we call each other. It seems like right when we need to call each other. So God has a perfect way to have you guys connect. And that's what kids are looking for today. They need connection at an early age. They need to know that dad and mom love them. And I keep saying that because we reach out to families anymore. It's not just dads. Our focus is dads and fatherhood, but our message is for the entire family here at Dads for Life. I'm really excited about our new website. It'll be out the day after Thanksgiving. And I'm really excited about some of the things that are coming our way. I won't be on this station very much the last couple of months of the year, but we're looking to come back here in the beginning of the year, see where God takes it, because God has us going in so many different directions right now. I'm just excited. We have to remember that children are our most valuable resource in our future. And that's why it's so important that we protect them. We have to protect them. We have to protect them from the craziness on the internet, don't we? Okay? We have to protect them from the craziness when they go even down the street anymore. You have to know where they're going, and don't be afraid to ask them. You're their parent, right? If you're having trouble with your child and getting them to understand, or maybe they're a little bit out of control as you think or whatever, then I'd recommend my dear friend, theparenthelpcenter.com, Glenn Ellison, former Marine and former NFL running back who runs a tremendous program at theparenthelpcenter.com. you can find out some of the things that he's involved in doing and having a huge success rate. Why number one is because God is number one in his life, in his business, his organization, rather. And he's helped countless of individuals of all walks of life, people that you would never think would have issues with their children have probably been through his program. So I want you to think about, you can do it. You can do it, Mom. You can do it, Dad. And sometimes it's difficult. It's just difficult. But how do you know you're being a good parent? Well, you be inspired and encouraged through the Word of God, and he helps you get through that, right, each day. But when you help your kids with their school homework, not do it for them, okay, there's a difference. When you take an interest in their hobbies, and when you show affection to, if you have a spouse in the house, you show affection to each other, then they see that, then that's being a good parent to them, because why? They follow our lead, don't they? When you advocate that they speak to you and others respectfully. And I remember we were talking about people get so offended anymore over everything. There's balance with all that. And it's okay to teach our kids that. When your calendar's full of things to do, and you work your children in regardless, but you have a lot of things you're doing with your children, that's how you know you're being a good parent, right? And you, not the only way, but it's just showing that you're involved with them, encouraging them, helping them, inspiring them to do their very best at whatever age. What happens when they're babies and they start walking? They get up, fall down. They get up, fall down. Do we say, oh, you fell down one time, you're not getting back up again? No, we're encouraging them and building them up. Well, that's the same thing that God needs to do with us, right? But that's what we have to do with our kids. We have to continue that. We have to keep encouraging them. When your son or daughter comes running into, when they've got a boo-boo on their elbow or their knee or something, our daughter was always getting a boo-boo somewhere, and we'd have to, play, doctor or nurse or whatever. Well, back on May 28th, when I was visiting our grandkids and our daughter and husband, I actually had a bicycle accident and crashed my head, and I was really banged up and bruised up and strawberries all over the place, right? Our granddaughter gets on her nurse's outfit and her fake stethoscope and her hat and her little fake oils and medicine. She's coming there and she says, first thing we're going to do is pray, and we're going to pray you get better, Grandy. And then she started taking care of me and making sure, and then I asked her how much her copay was for the day. So she looked at me. But it was so cute because I remember us doing that with our daughter when she was younger. And I always say that when if they're home at night, let them know you still love them, and you encourage them, and you read stories to them if it's appropriate age, and you read Meet Officer Keith. That's a good book to read for like the 3 to 7 year olds. Okay, and our book, Officer Keith and Canine Friends, 2 children books we wrote. But we also wrote a book called Daily Connections. It's a journal for parents that you could actually work in, do a daily routine with them, how to connect with your kids on a daily basis. It's just a journal that you can follow through for your life and your children. When you're driving somewhere, it's not always being on the phone and not always playing the radio real loud. It's actually talking with them about their day, how things went, how sports went, or cheerleading or whatever it is. Which brings me to a great dad I know who came to our high school events when I was a school resource officer. He came to our high school events every game when it was a home game because his daughter was cheering, not because he had a son or making touchdowns, because his daughter was cheering. He paid to come and watch her cheer. And I talked with him about that, and I said, that's a great example of being a dad for life. That's you're there. He is also a minister and ministered his own daughter's wedding, and that was amazing to witness and be a part of, and we were there. Getting up every Saturday morning and getting up and making their favorite breakfast like pancakes or something like that, by surprise, and they're not expecting it. That's being a good parent, right? And when you give your children responsibilities and chores, we didn't have basically an allowance for our daughter. We had commission. She kind of did a little work. She got a little bit more money than we would normally give her, right? So we kind of worked with that. We went through, the Dave Ramsey. We learned a lot through his organization and how to do those kinds of things. So let's teach them leadership. Let's teach them words like integrity or being patient, right? Or being versatile. Being flexible. I keep Gumby on my desk here. I used to keep it on my school resource officer desk. Gumby. I talk about being flexible, and I taught our daughter how to do that as well. Be a talent scout for them. That means you see some talent, you see them wanting to play the piano or wanting to play the guitar or whatever. Be involved with them, right? And try to encourage that and get them lessons scheduled if you're able to do that. But these cards, I came across a website, or actually the founder made these cards that are really cool, and you can teach them to your children when they're young. But it's top 10 tips on leadership, and it comes with a poster here. It's coolcatslead.com. That's coolcats, C-A-T-S, lead.com, and it's just a real great program where it talks to them about being trustworthy at a young age and being optimistic and being involved with being a risk taker sometimes. They don't know if they want to take that class at school or something, but they do it anywhere. They don't know if they want to run for that club office, but they do it anyway because they're taking a risk and they win, and then it's all excitement, right? Teaching them how to communicate and how to be directed inwardly. And, so I would recommend you go, if you want to teach your children, it's coolcatslead.com. Or you can email them at info@coolcatslead.com. But you can learn how to get these cards for your children. They're really cool. And tell them that you learned about them from Dads for Life here. Just kind of, they're not a paid advertiser or anything like that. We're just trying to help them out because we believe in the program, because we're a resource. We are a resource ministry here. So, but let's teach our kids how to be thinkers and doers, because we as their parents are thinkers and doers. Not everything's perfect. Not everything is, just hunky-dory, as we used to call them, or okie-dokie when when I was growing up. We used some crazy words that probably are not used too much today, but I just want you to, as their parent, to be involved and be a solutionist for them. Help them make good choices, because if you're involved with them, you're going to be so they're going to appreciate that so much down the road, and you're going to look back and say, wow, I remember that. And if you don't have grandchildren already like we do, then you're going to look back and say, I remember you doing the same exact thing as your child's doing, because it's so neat to see them doing that and knowing that your child did the same thing, right? So I just want you to make your calls big. Make your calls big. If you're in ministry, if you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, make your calls big. Think where God can take you and take your whole organization, because you want to help people, right? And I think if you put people first, your cause is going to be big regardless, right? You're going to pay it forward. And work on the weaknesses, and don't focus on them. Just work on getting them better. And I know I've had to practice that a lot. And simply because we're not perfect. The perfect man or the perfect woman, usually find someone that can tell them about their imperfections, right? So you have to continue working on that and invest time in activities with your children that brings the highest return on that. Meaning that, when you say you're going to do something, when you say, hey, we're going to go to the zoo this weekend, or we're going to go to the beach this weekend, or we're going to play this weekend, or whatever. And then all of a sudden something comes up better that you want to do, still keep your commitment to them and invest in them. That's what you said you're going to do, because they're learning from you, Mom. They're learning from you, Dad. And as we go to close up our show, I just want to tell you I appreciate you being with me tonight and just listening to me. Hopefully not rambling, but helping to give you some tips as a parent, a dad, a mom, to be involved. But I want you to make a difference. And you can do that by forgiving others. I've had to forgive a few people. And once you do that in your heart, then things start to change and turn around for you, right? I want you to, if you're putting your children on a school bus and they're leaving, they're going to be watching you. They're going to see what you're doing. Don't just get in your car and leave. Just wave at them. Give them a thumbs up or blow a kiss or whatever. I want you to be thankful. Be thankful for what God's given you, and don't be afraid to say I'm sorry. Yeah, wow. Say it to my kids. Yes, you can say it to your kids. You can say I'm sorry. You can say, I made a mistake. Mom and Dad's not perfect, but we're here to let you know that everything's going to still be all right. All right. Teach your kids not to interrupt just because they have a quick change of opinion. Something. I don't know if we have a call coming in or not. I see a call coming in. I'll let the station tell me if we do or don't. But I also want you to leave things better than you found them. Leave things better than you found them wherever you find them, that you can make them a little bit better, right? Whether it be a job, a church, or whatever. I want you to be involved with helping leave it a little bit better. So do we have a caller? Sure. See if we have a caller coming in, but keep your promises, your kids. If you are telling them you're going to do something, let's continue to do that. And I want you to teach them how to smile. I want you to teach them how to just help other people. I was with my 2 nieces and nephew recently, and we were doing some work, and they were involved in that, and they were feeling good because they were helping. So it's okay to teach them to help and learn a little bit. So I'm not sure if we have a caller or not. Maybe the station can tell me. Okay. Well, the Master Relationship Show with Courtney Smith is coming up to you. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for being with us on the Dad Connection Radio Show right here at 108 Praise Radio. Make sure you stay tuned to building your relationships a little bit better through the Master Relationship Show. And we are so excited that you joined us here on the Dad Connection tonight and 108 Praise Radio family here. There's a lot of good shows here. If you just follow up with them, connect with them on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on all those things that I didn't have when I was younger. I had a rotary phone on the kitchen wall, and so we couldn't do some of the things we can do today. But I'll tell you what, technology is carrying our ministry as well as the things that 108 Praise Radio is involved in, and hope you continue to follow us here. So until next time. All right, this is Dr. Keith with Dads for Life and the Dad Connection Radio Show. If we can help you out, you can reach out to us at dadsforlife.org. Don't forget until the day after Thanksgiving to look for our new website. We're so excited about that. Until next time, we will see you around right here at 108praiseradio.com. Good night, everybody.